So right now, most investors seem to love INFQ, and the sentiment for it is more solid right now. And honestly, I don't blame them. I completely understand why they would feel more inclined to want to put their capital into Inflection INFQ, as they do have the NVIDIA relationship. They have Department of Commerce CHIPS Act letter of intent worth up to $100 million, as you do know, as is stated right here in this article. In this article right here at the top. And they have government partnerships, growing institutional support, and also a lot of momentum behind the stock. Now, per the thumbnail, when you shift it over more to SEALSQ, ticker symbol LAES, you're not going to get that same type of love for SEALSQ. And there's a lot more speculation within the stock because right now, the overall sentiment is speculative and more negative due to a few reasons, such as insider selling, negative talk about the CEO, Carlos Moreira, and some investors, and again, this is not my personal opinion, but due to what I have seen in online communities among retail investors, I would say that I have heard and seen a level of hate for the CEO right now. Again, not my opinion, just what I have seen from online communities. And the overall sentiment around SEALSQ right now is incredibly polarized in my opinion, because there's two different sides of things. And there's always going to be two different sides of things from the bull and the bear case. But I would say it's decently extreme because some investors believe it's one of the most speculative companies in the entire quantum sector right now. And others believe that the market is completely overlooking what the company is building. And after spending some time comparing both companies, here's where I personally stand. I wanted the safer quantum investing. If I wanted to get the safer quantum investment right now, it would be Inflection INFQ. But personally, that's not what I'm doing. I'm personally buying SEALSQ. I'm already a shareholder of SEALSQ, and I've been accumulating my position slowly because I believe that the market is so focused on the controversy regarding the stock, the dilution history, and management concerns that it may be overlooking the cash position. And not only is it overlooking their cash position, because that's not the only thing that determines, for me personally, that's not the only thing that determines whether I put my capital into the stock, but also they're overlooking the cybersecurity position, the semiconductor business, and the long-term ecosystem that the company is trying to build. Now, obviously, that doesn't make SEALSQ any less riskier. In fact, I think it's a lot more risky, and the risk compared to INFQ is significantly more than that company. But when I compare the risk versus the potential reward, SEALSQ is the stock that I'm choosing to buy right now. So let's talk about this together right now, guys. And first off, let's just state the obvious and why investors would rather put their money into INFQ. And again, disclaimer, not financial advice, not telling you what to do with your money. But the reasons why people would be more bullish on INFQ rather than SEALSQ is because there's plenty of reasons, such as, first off, the company recently announced a letter of intent, again right here, letter of intent with the U.S. Department of Commerce for $100 million to accept U.S. leadership in quantum computing. So obviously that shows that the U.S. government views that Inflection has real world usage, real world value, and they're willing to put $100 million to help fund the company to grow the business and to execute on any projects, or execute on anything that management is trying to accomplish within the company. Second, if you don't know, they have an ongoing relationship with NVIDIA. Yes, the NVIDIA, the one that holds the stock market up and is the biggest company in the world right now and holds the stock market up around each of their quarterly earnings reports. And the third reason is that they're involved in programs like DARPA, the Department of Energy, NASA, and multiple government agencies. And they've also, if you didn't know, have been added to the Russell 3000 index. So yeah, I want to make sure that I didn't get that correctly. If it's the Russell 3000, the Russell, hold on, Index INFQ. Just wanted to make sure that I got that stat correctly. Yes, it was. Yeah, it was recently added to it. How long ago was this, by the way? I'm just curious. When was June 26th? So yeah, this happened. Oh no. Oh, so it's going to happen. When will Russell 3000 ETF add INFQ? Just wanted to make sure. Okay, so yeah, it will be adding it. It didn't add it yet, but it will be added by the close of Friday, June 2026. So next Friday. Okay. Yeah, and anyways, moving on from an investor's perspective, from the perspective of investors, INFQ checks off a lot of boxes that makes you want to invest into the company. Again, there's government validation, you got institutional validation, there's progress among the technicals, and they also, even though I don't have the 10K or any 10Q right there, after doing some research, they do have growing revenue and a very clear quantum roadmap right now. And if someone told me INFQ is the higher quality company, I wouldn't necessarily argue with them. In fact, I wouldn't argue with them at all. They are. And I think it's a very strong case for INFQ. That's exactly why so many investors are bullish long term for inflection. So why is it that I would be buying LAES, even though I'm saying all these bullish data points for INFQ? It's because, first off, the reason is simple. The market, it does seem to be focusing almost exclusively on the negatives for the company. Excuse me. So one of the biggest criticisms of SEALSQ right now is dilution. And to be fair, I understand that criticism. No investor, no shareholder likes to see a company they have their capital in go through have any types of dilution. Dilution is never a good thing, and it's something that investors don't like to hear. Now, the ones that do experience it, they usually have bad experiences regarding dilution. Now, the question that I personally ask myself is, what did the company get in return? Now, to answer that question, SEALSQ, today it has $500 million in cash and short-term investments. And that is a massive amount of capital, with the short-term investments and the cash on hand. That's a massive amount of capital for a company like SEALSQ. And that cash, what it does is it gives them the ability to fund research, to fund acquisitions, and to expand operations. And also, don't forget, to be able to potentially have the ability to execute on the long-term strategy for the company. And many early stage quantum computing companies would love to have that type of balance sheet. The second reason that I like SEALSQ is due to the fact that when most people think about quantum computing, they immediately think about quantum computers alone. But quantum computing isn't the only thing that's showing an opportunity for SEALSQ right now. There's also the quantum resistant cybersecurity angle that they got. And that's why that's one of the reasons why SEALSQ is interesting to me. The company is developing products like the QS7001 Quantum Shield chip, which is designed to integrate post-quantum cryptography directly into hardware. Now, think about for a second, just take a step back and actually think about what happens if quantum computing eventually becomes powerful enough to break traditional encryption. And excuse me, guys. Now, governments, enterprises, critical infrastructure, IoT devices, defense systems, and financial institutions are going to need solutions. And that's the opportunity that SEALSQ is trying to position itself for and take advantage of. And Quick reminder before we continue, if you're enjoying the content and want to connect with the community, check out the first link below for the free InvestQ community. And if you want access to advanced stock research and tools, the second link is a Prophecy 7-day trial for just $7. And last, if you want daily market updates and behind the scenes content, follow me on Instagram using the third link in the description. Now, let's get back to the video. And unlike other quantum computing companies, remember, SEALSQ is not just a pure quantum play. They're much bigger than that now. And moving on, another thing that really did stand out to me was during my research, I saw that the company's gross margins have been improving because in 2025, SEALSQ generated approximately $18.25 million in revenue. And the company reported a gross profit of around $8.6 million. That works out to roughly a 47% gross margin. The reason that matters, of course, is because it suggests that the products themselves are not the problem right now. If the technology has no value, margins would likely be much lower than 47%. And the bigger issue appears to be operating expenses, acquisitions, expansion, research and development, and corporate growth initiatives. So when I take a look and I look at SEALSQ, I don't see a company with a product problem. I see a company that still has to prove it can scale efficiently. So the thing about it is this might be, or not what I just mentioned, but the next thing I'm mentioning might be the biggest reason why I'm interested in SEALSQ. Because the market already knows why it loves inflection. Because, as I mentioned, everybody's already talking about that NVIDIA relationship they have. The government funding, the heavy government funding they're getting in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And, with the CHIPS Act. But when it comes to SEALSQ, conversation eventually turns into a discussion about the CEO, Carlos Moreira, the negative sentiment they have around insider selling, dilution concerns, and concerns regarding their acquisitions. And what I believe is that sometimes the best opportunities are companies that investors, how would I say this? Yeah, because it can go either way. Because it's not always set in stone. You have to do your own due diligence and you have to make your own decision with their capital, because I know there's sayings that there's blood in the market. Or the best times to make money is when there's blood in the market. And then there's also people that have made money buying into bull markets, which usually that can be pretty bad, buying at the highs. But you know that not every case, not every investor, not every situation is the same, because sometimes the best investments can be companies that everybody already loves or has a more positive view of, like Inflection. And then there's other times, which is what I'm believing with SEALSQ, that a good opportunity is when it's the types of companies that other people are not willing to touch. As long as you do your research regarding market usage, you look at the financials of the company, and you build a long-term thesis that as long as it's not broken, you stick to that thesis. So that's my take on it. And also, again, I will be making sure to watch to see if management can actually execute. And if they do execute, I do believe that the sentiment for the stock can change. Now let's talk about the risk for SEALSQ real quick. Because if you're considering SEALSQ, I think it's important to acknowledge that, first off, when it comes to the first risk, and the biggest risk, is regarding dilution. Shareholders, they have already experienced significant dilution. And the second thing is insider selling, because many investors view the selling negatively and they don't like to see that. And the last thing, again, is none other than execution, because if management has done a lot of different initiatives happening simultaneously, they have a lot of different initiatives happening simultaneously, such as the semiconductor business, post-quantum security, satellite initiatives, venture investments, and strategic acquisitions. All those pieces have to eventually translate into something meaningful for the shareholders, for the value of the shareholders. And in my opinion, and where I want to close the video off with you guys, is if you're looking for the company with the stronger institutional validation today, Inflection, ticker symbol INFQ, is your choice. If you're looking for the company with a stronger reputation today, already, Inflection is your choice. If you're looking for the quantum computing company that's more safe right now, Inflection would be your choice again. But investing isn't always about buying the company everyone already agrees on. And again, not financial advice, do what you want to do with your capital. But in my opinion, sometimes it's about identifying situations when the market may be overestimating the risks or underestimating the opportunity of a specific stock. And for me personally, that's why I'm buying SEALSQ, ticker symbol LAES. Not because I think it's a safer investment, and not because I think that management is perfect, but I think the criticism is slightly, how would I say? I don't want to say unfair, but it's overstated compared to what it is they're already doing to and the efforts that they're making to grow the company. Because if you take a quick look at their investors relations tab, you can look at numerous PR reports that they had recently talking about acquisitions. You're seeing about how CEO Carlos Moreira is going to specific discussions, how they secured a patent for breakthrough back to physical NFT. There's a bunch of different PR reports that they've been having over the past month. So they are clearly making efforts and they are doing things to improve the business overall. So, what do you guys think about SEALSQ, ticker symbol LAS? Let me know in the comment section below. And also, please tell me if you do enjoy the content. And if you did, feel free to hit the like and subscribe button, as I do appreciate the support from you guys. But with that being said, guys, stay safe. Keep making good decisions with the long-term portfolios. And David with InvestQ out.